This is back to school time for millions of public school students, but a recent study of student achievement in 34 nations shows the U.S. ranks 14th in reading, 17th in science, and believe it or not, 25th in math, even though the U.S. spends more per student than most other countries. One of the reasons we don't have enough good teachers. So what does it take to get smart, talented, effective people to go into teaching? We went to Macon, Georgia to ask one person who did.
They're focusing as they're scoring your essay. They want to know, are your ideas good? Northeast High School's academic history basically over the last 5 years has been a kind of roller coaster. In fact, about 3 years ago, our writing test scores were dead last in the district. Last year, our test scores were 95% on the writing test and #1 in the district. That's one of the things we really have to make sure that we pay attention to. My name is Jadon McCarthy, teacher at Northeast High School, and I'm the 2012 Georgia Teacher of the Year.
What makes Mr. McCarthy different from ordinary teachers?
Through his teaching methods, how he brings the real world into, the subject that he is teaching.
Okay, so if she had said, yeah, I do have a boyfriend, would you have given up? Okay, you'd have said you don't care. All right, I respect that.
To me, he gives it to you like it is.
You got them senior dudes ready? Yes. Okay.
He don't just give it to you. He give it to you with compassion.
And it's something that's prideful in me when I can stand in front of a young man in a suit and tie and tell them, I was once where you were.
This is the graduation class from elementary school. I won't tell you where he is. Do you see him?
The school that was zoned for my grandparents' neighborhood was Walter P. Jones Elementary School. And the principal was Mrs. Ella Carter. She created a school environment where excellence was celebrated.
I guess we can call it the first of the recognition of his greatness.
That belief that I could exceed, the belief that I could achieve anything was fostered under Mrs. Carter. She fostered my love of English. While I was finishing law school, Mrs. Carter, she asked me just in her motherly way, are you ready to start practicing law? And I told her, Ms. Carter, I'm not really sure. And she looked at me and she said, I want you to teach English for me for a year. I told her, okay, what do I need to do? And she said, you just go down to the Board of Education and you tell them that Ella Carter wants you to teach English at Northeast High School. And by that August, Ms. Carter handed me the keys to my classroom. We take what just happened and we put it into a literary or an educational setting. You have to, as a teacher, as an educator, be able to balance the nice to know things with the need to know things. And if you can do that proficiently, then you can take them to the moon. But we have to make sure that they're meeting a minimum standard of learning.
Mr. McCarthy is one of my mentors because he's prepared me for English and journalism because I want to be a motivational speaker.
Good. The truth of the matter is teaching is a calling. Yeah, sometimes money's tight, but that's where educators truly earn their keep. When we take those children that other people have cast aside and we turn them into something great, that's when we're truly educators.
And joining us now to talk about the challenge of finding and keeping good teachers is Michelle Rhee. She's the former chancellor of Washington, D.C.'s public schools and the founder and CEO of StudentFirst. That's a nonprofit group that advocates on behalf of school students. Good morning, Ms. Rhee.
Good morning.
Thanks so much for being with us. And obviously, I don't know if you were able to hear, but that was just an incredible story about Mr. McCarthy, the Teacher of the Year, obviously a great teacher. But what is it that makes a good teacher, and how serious do you think the problem of bad teachers really is?
Well, everything that you would want to see in a teacher, you saw in Mr. McCarthy, and I think he articulated it very well in saying that we have to have standards. Basically, he's saying we have to have certain expectations of kids, and if we hold high expectations for children, they will rise to meet them. And we, as the adults in the system, and for teachers like Mr. McCarthy, they think this all the time, is that that is part of their responsibility to ensure that the children are meeting those expectations. And when we set those expectations, it's amazing what can happen. And you heard from some of his kids that they see a real difference between being in his classroom and being in someone else's classroom. So there is a very significant difference in our country between a highly effective teacher like Mr. McCarthy and an ineffective teacher. What we should be striving for is making sure that every single child in every single classroom across this country has a teacher like him.
But, how do you do that? I mean, obviously, he was going to be a lawyer. How do you attract the best and the brightest into some of those classrooms, particularly in schools that you would say are pretty much broken?
You know what? There is a lot of interest from people, recent college graduates, mid-career professionals. People are very interested in the possibility of coming into teaching. What we have to do is make it easy for them to do so. We should have high standards for the kinds of people who are entering into the classroom. But for somebody who has studied to potentially become a lawyer, like Mr. McCarthy, we have to have a path for them. Now, not everybody is going to have an Ella Carter who's able to say,
the inspiring teacher, yes.
The principal saying, go to HR and tell them that I told them to hire you. I'm sure she probably broke a couple of rules to do that, but it shouldn't be about breaking rules. It should be that when we have talented people who don't necessarily have an education degree, but who have very, very strong content knowledge, we have to have a path for those people to come through.
But you know, we've seen obviously these kids come forward and talk, but when you're looking at teachers in the classroom, you've advocated looking at some of the data on student scores to assess them, because that you've said, I mean, obviously that's the best objective standards. But we've also seen recently almost a nationwide teaching cheating scandal down in Atlanta. I think there are about 178 people implicated. And even in Washington, D.C. now, there's an investigation about cheating to try to improve those student scores, erasing things on tests. USA Today did a big investigation. What's your response to that? Do you think that your efforts to assess and evaluate these teachers actually put too much pressure on the teachers that sets a bad example, really, and encourages them to cheat?
Look, I think the vast majority of teachers and principals would never compromise their personal or professional integrity and cheat on a test. That's the bottom line. I don't think the vast majority of people would do that. Unfortunately, we do have a small number of people who are making the wrong decision and deciding to cheat. I don't think, though, that that can erase the fact that so many professionals out there are doing what they are supposed to be doing. So I think that school districts need to make sure that they are putting the proper test security measures in place. When we do find that this small number of people are cheating and doing the wrong thing, then we need to have the appropriate consequences for them. But I think that it's important not to draw the conclusion that because a minority of people are cheating, that we should throw the entire testing and accountability system out. That makes no sense whatsoever.
All right. Well, Michelle Rhee, thanks very much for joining us.
Absolutely.